Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about the free tools that I use to get to know myself and to understand what kind of life I wanted to build. When I first began the journey to building a soft life, it was at a time where I had just discovered some free tools that helped me to understand myself better and understand what I truly wanted and not what I was brought up to think or what society sometimes can push us to believe is our ultimate goal. I went from being a very career-driven person to be an ambitious person, but someone who values a lot more different things than what I used to in my 20s. And so today I wanted to share with you the free tools that have helped me to realize that, so that you can hopefully look into who you truly are and who you have become and reconnect with yourself to build a life that you love. I'm sure some of these tests will sound familiar and perhaps you might have even already taken them. But the thing that I have realized is that we change a lot through life. And so it's a good idea to take them every few years. And especially if you're feeling currently out of alignment, my suggestion would be to take some time for yourself and to try and reconnect and learn about yourself again. I will leave links to all of these in the description down below, but let's dive in. The first test, and the one that probably changed my life the most, has been the 16 personality test, also called the Myers-Briggs test. The Myers-Briggs test is a self-report questionnaire that can help you to identify which of the 16 personalities you are. Each of the personalities will have an element of introversion or extroversion, of sensing or intuition, of thinking or feeling, and of perceiving or judging. Personally, I found this test incredibly insightful. I spent a lot of my life thinking of myself as an extrovert. I, in fact, went on to build several careers based on this fact, and I was loud and proud about how great I was at connecting with people. All the whilst realized that deep down, I was just an introverted people pleaser who was desperate to try to fit in. So when I did the 16 personalities test and I scored a whopping 97% of introversion, I was a little bit surprised, but deep down I knew that this was the reality. So if you're wondering, my personality type is INFJ. So what this personality test did was reminding me of how much we change. I will never know if I was truly an extrovert, although I suspect that I wasn't, because I clearly have memories of myself as a child growing up being told that I was being antisocial and that I should connect more. However, there could be instances where we change our personality, and that's why the recommendation is to take these type of tests every few years to check if anything has changed. Not everyone will believe in these tools, but I found them a very good way to try to understand myself better, because at the end of the day, if I didn't recognize myself in what was said, I would have just disregarded it. But for me, it was remarkably spot on, and every single one of the people close to me that I shared this with also confirmed that that was 100% my personality type. This was also the first step for me into moving towards a soft life. I felt like I almost received permission to finally be myself, to finally embrace the fact that I'm a homebody, that I prefer to have smaller group of friends, and I love one-to-one connection, but I also need time to recharge. And being able to accept this and to truly embrace it has helped me to build a softer lifestyle. The next test is also a fairly recognized and famous test, and that is the 5 love languages. This is a test that I like to take regularly, and it's rooted in the idea that there are 5 love languages and that we all receive and give love in a different way. I found this test to be incredibly helpful for improving my relationships, both to myself and to the people around me. The 5 love languages are words of affirmation, physical touch, receiving gifts, acts of service, and quality time. I have seen recently that there has been someone saying that there are actually 7. So it might be time for me to take the test again. Learning about the love languages for me was such a cool way to understand myself from the point of view of receiving love more than giving. As someone who grew up in an unstable environment, I have always been very observant and very used to making sure that people received what they need and what they want. However, because of this, I really got disconnected from the way that I myself wanted to receive love. And so where I was very, very good at providing and sharing and nurturing others, I wasn't able to understand how I would have liked others to provide and nurture me. What I have noticed with this is that love languages change a lot faster than personality, and this is no surprise. For example, there were moments where myself and my fiance didn't have a lot of time outside of work to meet, and that meant that at that point, quality time really truly was my main love language. However, in other times where I felt like I was perhaps going through a stressful time, words of affirmations from my friends and my loved one really meant a lot for me. I think another area that this can truly help you with is at work. I love to think about the ways that the languages can show you the way that you want to be managed, or also the way that you manage others at work. For example, for me, when I was in a phase of words of affirmation being the most important thing, I really tried to communicate that to my colleagues to say, I need feedback, and I also need positive feedback whenever you have it, because that truly fuels me. I think we're made to feel as if expressing ourselves it's uncomfortable or an inconvenience to others, but I do think that being able to communicate these things can massively improve and increase your quality of life. So if you haven't taken them already, I would recommend you trying this. The next one is one for my fellow women, and it's the Feminine Archetypes test. Now this I didn't really know how to feel about, because I felt like it was maybe a little bit too spiritual, probably not very accurate. I just didn't know how much science there was, and I suppose like all of these tests are pseudoscientific as opposed to necessarily rooted in proven science. But when I took the test, I realized how much of what I had aspired to be as a woman I already was. And that's kind of like what the feminine archetypes give you. They give you an understanding of who you are, yes, but also who you truly aspire to be, who your heart wants to become, and what type of woman you want to be. As I grow older, it becomes so important for me to connect with my feminine side. I found that this test really kind of allowed me to explore that once I moved past the initial judgment that I felt, because it's probably some internalized misogyny if I had to take a wild guess. I felt so excited about getting to know my feminine archetype. And if you're wondering, I am a sage and a lover. Those are my 2 archetypes. Now, last but not least, I wanted to share something that I'm currently doing, which is trying to understand my physical side. All of the tests that I have shared so far have been things that have helped me to understand myself, my desires, and who I am. But there is also an element of who you portrayed and who you show up as that I think it's very important. And in a world where we are often marked for trying to express ourselves, or where things like fashion and having fun with the way you look get a bit infantilized, again, I feel like that's also quite a misogynistic thing. I have found actually a lot of joy trying to understand what truly works for me. I grew up not having much, and so I don't really shop a lot. I don't really understand what clothes fit me very well. It maybe is sad because I'm in my 30s, but I'm excited to finally get around to exploring this. And so two things that have helped me, and there's so many more, but these two are the ones that I wanted to mention, are to understand your color palette and also to understand your body type. So I'm in the process of doing these, and there's lots of information online, but again, I will share some links that I found useful. I think that this has been such a fun process, and it has also helped me to show up as who I want to be in a visual way and kind of like communicate that externally. The way you dress, the way you do your hair, the way you do your makeup, the way you present yourself can be a way to communicate who you are a lot more than we sometimes give ourselves credit for. And so for me, exploring the type of colors that help me to feel better, look brighter, look better, and also the type of clothes that make me feel the most comfortable and confident, really exploring those things has been fun, a little bit frustrating at times because it's not an easy thing to figure out, but certainly transformative. I truly think that one of the biggest gifts that you can give to yourself is to spend time with yourself and fall in love with who you are. But you cannot do that until you spend some time to open up yourself and just let yourself be. I have come on the other side of a lot of judgment and a lot of pressure that I used to put on myself for who I thought I needed to be, who I thought others needed me to be, and I never really let myself be myself. And so now that I'm embracing this soft life, one of the pillars and one of the core things for me is to truly build something that works for me, for no one else but me. And it doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. It doesn't have to be something that others approve. I don't need to look a certain way to achieve something. I don't need to be a certain way to achieve something. I'm really putting an effort into unlearning all of those things that unfortunately society really sticks deep into our head and freeing myself from that. I have always been this person, and I am seeing this as kind of like a finally accepting myself. So wherever you are in your journey, I hope that you can do that. I hope that you can accept yourself without judgment. I hope you can have fun exploring who you are or who you have become. And I hope that that can help you to build a life that you love and that you feel comfortable and safe and happy in, because you deserve it. So that's it. I hope that this video was helpful. If you take any of the tests, or if you want to share any of your love languages or archetypes or your personality, I would love to know, and I love to get to know you better. I hope this was helpful, and as always, a reminder that you deserve everything beautiful in this life. See you next time.